Fox Sports.
We are Fox Sports. We are FC.
Royals baseball at Kauffman Stadium today, and with a victory, the Royals can win their first series since the All-Star break. Royals baseball is presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Hi everyone, welcome back to the ballpark with Rex Hudler. I'm Ryan Lefevre. Joel Goldberg and Jeff Montgomery are coming up. It was only 4 runs, but it puts an end to a streak for the Royals. They went 9 straight games scoring 3 runs or fewer. So that's over. Now they can set their sights on winning a series.
Yes, which they haven't done since June. I mean, that's way too long. This team's too good. But the team that's in town happens to be the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays are trying to recapture what the Royals took from them last year. Not a better team than to step on their neck today and get the series.
Whether it's too little too late, or if the Royals are going to do something special in the last 50 games or so, they need better starting pitching. And our Academy Sports and Outdoors leaderboard shows us that's what they've gotten over the last 8 games.
I like the opponent's average. That means they're limiting the base runners. The strikeouts are good, but look, this is where it's going to start. The Royals' goal has to be to creep their way back to 500 one game at a time. And then you look around and see where you are with 52 remaining. And for Yordano Ventura, let me tell you something, Ryan. I've been impressed with him. I agree with you. He hasn't quite turned the corner like Danny Duffy, but he's approaching the corner. He has been to the mountaintop. He's a world champion. But as far as the consistency goes, he's trying to improve on that. One big thing I've learned this year with him is that he's not taking hitters personal. He's going out and competing and playing team baseball.
The Royals beat the powerful Blue Jays last night with some small ball. And how about that bunt from Raul Mondesi? We'll break it down when we come back. And in a few snapshots, HUD, over the past week or so, we've seen why the Royals are so excited about him.
I love the technician inside of him. That means he's fundamentally sound. He's been taught well in the Royals organization. He can do it all. He's got great tools, especially with that speed. But the bunting is off the charts. He's taken bunting to a new level. This is exactly what you would see in the textbook of how to bunt. You want to bend your knees. You want your eye level to be down low with the baseball. You'd like to bunt the ball on the end of the bat. It deadens it with a little backspin preferably. But can I tell you, that's the same guy. The only thing different was his socks. What a beautiful thing.
Is that the game that gets the Royals going offensively? Joel and Monty are back to talk about the Royals offense right after this.
Kauffman Stadium, another big crowd expected for the series finale between the Royals and the Blue Jays. Down by the Royals dugout, it is Joel Goldberg, Royals Hall of Famer Jeff Montgomery, and it had been a long stretch, 9 straight of scoring 3 runs or less, single season record for the Royals. They finally broke out.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if the Royals players were aware of the fact, but going into last night, all those numbers pointed to a really drought as far as the Royals offense had concern. But the Kubota power set's going to show last night a little different story. Had some action in the 4th, didn't get any runs across in that 5th inning. They were to break loose, use that infield hit, use everything they could to get some runs on the board.
And while it wasn't a 6 or a 7 spot, it was 4 against one of the best pitchers in the American League. The Royals will take it and see if they can get that carried over to today and then hand it off to a bullpen where the roles are a-changing thanks to injury. It worked for him last night. We discuss next. now. Monty, at the beginning of the year, you said it takes a little while to get used to roles. Now, because of injury, this is a unique situation.
Yeah, it's almost like Ned Yost has been given a new set of cards, it's been reshuffled. Now you got to figure out which roles are going to work for which guys. You got a lot of variety out there, from young guys like Matt Strom to veterans like Peter Moylan, and now figuring out which ones fit best in which situations.
And not just the injuries, but Kelvin Herrera, 29 pitches 2 nights ago, closed it out last night. And so certainly different situations for Ned Yost. We talked to Peter Moylan about the roles this afternoon.
It's also an opportunity for guys to step up and have a go at those challenging, high leverage situations. So I love that sort of stuff. You know, it gets a different kind of adrenaline going, gets a different kind of heartbeat going. So it's I love being in those situations.
Peter Moylan and the Mantis, and yes, she is still here today. Perhaps a good luck charm. Hey, the Royals will take what they can get as they go for that elusive series win. First pitch is next.
Baseball is brought to you by the Missouri Lottery. Every ticket you play gives back to schools across Missouri, so play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. By Menards, save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. And by your Midwest Ford dealers. Visit your MidwestFordDealers.com. Look at the Nelson Atkins Museum of Art. It's Art Day at the K. And a beautiful day, 73 degrees on August the 7th. And a chance for rain. We had rain this morning. The tarp was on the field. There was no on-field batting practice earlier today. But for now, the weather is very pleasant. And the Royals are having a lot of fun with that rally praying mantis, which led the Royals in part to victory yesterday.
But it spent the night right here at the K, at the same place it was last night. It's highly unusual. They need to make him become a mascot or a pet.
And that's the same mantis that Mike Swanson threw off of his shoulder. Many people thought maybe he killed the praying mantis, but no, that's the same one, so he's fine. Anyway, there's a game today, and Yordano Ventura is going to start for the Royals. The Royals have pitched well. The Blue Jays have pitched well so far in this series. Yordano just has to figure out a way to take care of Devin Travis, especially in the first inning.
Yeah, that would be interesting to see if he can keep him in the ballpark. Now, I'm sure that the odds are against him to hit a homer, but this guy has really done a great job. You got to love that. He hit his 10th home run last night. He's been really short with his swing, compact, but he's looking up in the zone. It didn't matter if it's a hard fastball off Herrera the previous night or if it's an off-speed changeup off of Duffy. He's looking up in the zone, and that's how he's able to drive him out. Stay down on him. Might not be big in stature, but he's got a nice, short, compact swing.
And the Royals have done an excellent job in the first 2 games of pitching to Bautista, Donaldson, Encarnacion. They're trying to figure out what to do with Travis. 0-1. Oh, 2. Home plate umpire is Nick Lentz today. Ventura, it's only 3 pitches, but working quickly. 98 miles an hour. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
So far under control, too. He's not swinging that leg way out. He's keeping his body in control.
4-pitch strikeout to begin the game.
Toronto Blue Jays, they know Ventura. They've seen him before plenty of time. They know they're going to get a majority of fastballs, and that is an above average pitch. It's mid to upper 90s. Curveball, changeup. Curveballs has been his finish pitch. Opponents only hitting 160 on the change, so those are 3 above average pitches. Asking his catcher Drew Butera today, Drew, what do you want to see most out of Ventura today? He says, I want to see him get ahead of hitters. And I said, well, where do the emotions come in? Because he's very volatile at times. Big competitor. He says if he throws strikes and gets ahead, that controls his emotions. Don't let the umpire get in the back of your mind if you get squeezed. If I got to make 10 trips out there today to the mound to calm him down, I will. Get ahead. That's his key. Then finish him off. Falling behind quickly here to Bautista, who's 4 for 10 with 2 homers off of Ventura. So believe me, Ventura has that in his mind.
Three and 1 on Bautista.
That's what we're talking about. You're ahead in the count. Look at the success he's had keeping the opponents off base.
Hammered into left field. Alex plays the hop. Bautista turns and holds. So out of all that, Jose Bautista has a 1-out single.
Well, he crushed it. It's a good thing that he didn't get under that, or that'd have been a shot out of the ballpark. But he hit it so hard that Alex Gordon knows his home territory very well. One carom off the wall and he's able to pick it up. There's no chance for a double. Ball was inside, but he was setting heater. I mean, it wasn't exactly down the middle. If it was, it would have been a homer. Bautista's got to put the brakes on and take a lousy single instead.
1 on, 1 out to Josh Donaldson. So the Royals have pitched Bautista, Donaldson, Encarnacion, and Martin exceptionally well. 3 hits in 28 at-bats coming into today, so now they're 4 out of 29. No extra base hits. Martin, by the way, is not in the lineup today.
It's amazing the difference in venues between the K and Rogers Center. Whenever you get in that place, it's to their advantage the minute you get there. It just seems that way. And their hitters seem more, you know, like they're seeing the ball better. And it's almost like they know what's coming.
In Toronto.
Right.
Well, physically, as you described, it's not the right ballpark for them. And you wonder, too, mentally as well, just showing up here and realizing that their game is not going to be the same. Mondesi out from second base. He'll make the play on Donaldson. 2 down.
Royals defense sponsored by Ford. We're going to show you Hosmer and Escobar. They've started at the most games in their position. They're very valuable to this ball club. It's gold on gold. That's right. The other gold is out in left field for sure. But the back catcher, the 4-time All-Star, Salvador Perez, taking a chill pill today. Letting the rest of the gold take over.
Two down to Encarnacion, and that pitch is just outside.
Encarnacion, another guy with some good numbers against Ventura, 4 for 9.
He has 1 hit in the series, and it was an infield single. Two balls, no strikes. So big ballpark that plays against the Blue Jays style of play, and the wind is blowing in today, which makes it an even bigger ballpark. 3 balls and no strikes, and there you go. There's the first
half visit.
Visible sign from Drew Butera to get Ventura to calm down.
Yep, there you go. Easy, steady. One of the problems that he had in his last outing against the Blue Jays, I mean against the Rays, he didn't pitch that badly. He was a little bit wild. He had 4 walks and 103 pitches, but he was not staying behind the ball. He was on the side of it. His curveball showed it, more of a lateral movement instead of the 12-6. And there's a respectful walk.
And here are those numbers. 5 innings, but 103 pitches. And you're right, Hud, not a bad line, but it was what a baseball person may describe as a high stress outing for Ventura. The Rays had at least 2 runners in 4 of the 5 innings. So he was pitching out of the stretch all day. He was able to limit the damage. And it finished with an angry inning. He tried to make a play on a ball where there was no play, and he threw the ball away, and he was very angry, but able to hold it together in that 5th and final inning.
His mechanics were all over the place. He was on the side of the ball pushing it instead of, and he's pulling that shoulder out, but you know, he has everything it takes. But keep in mind, it took Danny Duffy a few years to kind of find himself too, and I think Ventura's on the same path. Hadn't turned the corner, but I think he's right at the corner. Would you agree?
Yeah, that's the way we were describing it before the game, that if Danny Duffy has turned the corner, Yordano Ventura is either at the corner or on the corner, but not around it yet. Changeup for a strike to Saunders, batting with Bautista at second, and Encarnacion at first with 2 down. Saunders has struggled since the All-Star break. Chopped out to Hosmer inside the bag, and it's a scoreless first inning for Ventura, getting around a long single and a walk. who I think needs a name, although there's been a debate on Twitter between Joel and our associate producer Dave Holtzman over the gender of the praying mantis. So while we figure that out, the Royals, by scoring 4 runs last night, put an end to 9 consecutive games, scoring 3 runs or fewer. That was a team record. So we'll find out today, Hud, if that was just another game or if that's a game that's going to create a breakout on offense today.
Well, I'm going to give it my own name, the praying mantis, rally. That's what the Royals need to do. They need to rally their troops, and they need to continue to compete in their at-bats, do the best they can, see as many pitches as they can. Today, for example, they need to see the ball up. Now, the ball looks really big there, sitting there. That's what they want. See him up, because Stroman keeps the ball down, and he's a ground ball machine. See him up, see a little frenzy hitting, and just rally.
And I think rally is a cross-gender name.
I think you can go either way myself.
Stroman, a little bigger than Yordano Ventura. Or Ventura is a little bigger than Stroman. Ventura listed at 6 foot, Stroman at 5'8", so they're both slight as far as today's standards go for hard throwing right-handers. Don't have big bodies, but they have big arms. 5'8", 180. Out of Duke University, Marcus Stroman. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Escobar.
We talked yesterday in our open about reading the preseason publications and what the projections would be and who's going to be the Cy Young and the starters and all that. Before the season, I made my own prediction when they asked me. I said this guy, Marcus Stroman, was going to be a difference maker for the Blue Jays, and he was going to become their ace. Had no idea that it was going to be the young man who pitched last night, Aaron Sanchez. But Stroman had some issues early in the season, but he's ironed those issues out. He works quick. He has a nice tempo. But to have both of these guys emerge as some of your best, not too shabby.
Toronto Blue Jays have the lowest ERA in the American League. They have the lowest starters ERA in the American League. Fastball strike to Cheslor Cuthbert. Well hit to right center field, and that'll go all the way to the wall. Cheslor Cuthbert just keeps rolling along.
I like how he's aggressive early, looking in the count, looking up, looking out there, but not trying to pull him and going with the pitch. And that's what they have to do today to beat Stroman. They've got to be able to see him up. And don't miss it. Really nice stroke there. Let the ball travel deep, and he's able to put that A swing on him, keep the bat head level. Getting into scoring position. 16th double.
Runner at second for Lorenzo Cain, who has hit safely in each of his last 5 games. Cheslor Cuthbert, since the beginning of July, is hitting .330.
Those are the most doubles by an American League rookie, by the way, offensively. Way to go, Cheslor. Keep it up.
1-1 on Cain.
Lo Cain's feeling more comfortable, starting to swing a freer bat. I mean, he's not tight and trying to pull. He's starting to think opposite field now as he's getting his timing back from his injury. Right at 300 with runners in scoring position. Just slightly under.
Not a very good swing, but that just shows you how tough it is to pick up Marcus Stroman's slider. Looks like a fastball coming out of his hand, and sometimes by the time the hitter figures out it's a slider, it's too late.
Yeah, it's tough. If he's hitting his spots, you're not going to hit it. It's that simple. So do like Cuthbert. When he makes a mistake, you just don't miss it. Ooh, I get there one. He snuck one by him there. At 88, looked like it could have been his little cutter.
So 2 strikeouts in the inning for Stroman, both with his slider.
We talked about the Blue Jays defense and how they're at plus 30 defensive runs saved. That's second best in the American League. Now Darwin Barney getting a chance from John Gibbons, his field general, to put him out in left field. This is his 3rd career start, but he can do it. He's a good athlete, and all it is having confidence in your ability and mind over matter. If you don't mind, it don't matter. You get out there, you're happy to be in the lineup, you see the ball, you go get it. Keep it simple, like a little backyard Sunday afternoon game of baseball.
Eric Hosmer had a big 2-run hit last night. That throw goes into center field. And Cuthbert advances to third base. Did they really think they could pick off Cheslor Cuthbert, or are they trying to avoid having to pitch to Eric Hosmer with a runner in scoring position?
Well, I would think that he thought he had a chance, and it was a play that was timed. So that means it was put on by Tulowitzki, because Tulowitzki, he broke in. And now with Stroman having thrown 7 wild pitches this year, could put himself in jeopardy here. Oh.
That may be the answer to Josh Donaldson getting hit in the face in game 1.
Well, if it is, it's a good answer for Hosmer, but not a good answer for Stroman. If you're going to get a guy, you don't miss him. Okay, now just talking about the wild pitch, that looked not like an unintentional
There are
wild pitch.
balls that get away from a pitcher. That wasn't one of them.
Right.
So both teams benefit from that. Hosmer doesn't get hit, and then a ball goes to the backstop and a run doesn't score. 2-1 on Hosmer. Retaliation comes in many different forms. Some teams will say, you hit our third baseman, we'll hit your third baseman. You hit our number 3 hitter, we'll hit your number 3 hitter. And this may come down to, you hit our best player, we'll hit your best player. And hopefully it's over with. Ooh, that slider stayed up. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Hosmer just a click out in front of it. Wants to get that mind, thought, and that process back to the other side. That's where he had success last night. Head was okay there. He didn't pull off, but he's still leaning hard to that right side with his body.
Over the mound, Travis Fields, and throws out Hosmer to end the inning. Stroman works around a double and his own error. No score. It's a 1-out double against Marcus Stroman, but he's stranded at third. The Blue Jays stranded 2 in the top of the first inning, and now it's Troy Tulowitzki, Melvin Upton Jr. and Josh Thole in the second inning. Tulowitzki has 2 singles in the series and an RBI. Now we see a little different side of Yordano Ventura than the rest of the league does. But if I'm Troy Tulowitzki and my pitcher just threw behind Eric Hosmer last inning, and I'm facing a pitcher who has a reputation, I'm not sure how deep my spikes are in that clay batter's box for the first 2 or 3 pitches.
The thought crossed his mind, I'm sure. But he has had some excellent at-bats this series. Seen probably more pitches than any of his teammates. Going deep. Saw 17 pitches, 18 last night in 2 at-bats.
Tulowitzki was also hit in the series as well by Dylan G in game 1. Three balls, 2 strikes.
It's be interesting to see what kind of break that Ventura has on his curve today. He's still maybe fastball changeups.
Leadoff walk. That was a big item for Ventura early in the season. First 2 months of the season, Ventura led the league in walks, and he's cleaned that up recently. And now 2 walks in the first 2 innings today. And a man on for Melvin Upton Jr. Those are his numbers with the Padres and the Blue Jays put together. But since joining the Blue Jays, he is 3 out of 28. Breaking ball for a strike. But you were talking last night, Hud, about how Blue Jays are talking more about what he brings on defense than at the plate.
And believe me, we all know here in Kansas City how important that defense is for the starting pitching. And yeah, they're a way better defensive team with him out there than Michael Saunders. And nothing to take away from Michael Saunders, but Upton has great speed, tremendous arm, and you know he's going to hit a little. They're hoping that he'll provide a little bit of pop because he's had a good year with the Padres this year, but getting acclimated to the American League is tough. You're not seeing the pitching that you've been used to seeing last couple of seasons out there in the National League.
Grab your running shoes. Join Fox Sports Kansas City and the Royals at the Royals Charities 5K on August 27th. Each participant will receive a World Series Champs t-shirt and a Royals ticket voucher, along with a chance to take a lap around Kauffman Stadium. You can sign up now at royals.com/run. Melvin Upton is one of those cautionary tales in that he was a good player in Tampa Bay, not a great player, and yet he got great money with the Atlanta Braves, and instead of taking his game to a higher level, his game went to a lower level. That's the risk when you start paying players long-term on projections.
That's right.
Strike 3 over the outside. Upton, he's getting ready to get rid of his bat. He thought that was ball 4. So Ventura gets the borderline call from Nick Lentz, and that's the difference between 1 on, 1 out, and 2 on and nobody out. Ooh.
Yeah. That's a big call right there for him in this inning. Looked like that was off the plate.
John Gibbons, Blue Jays manager, former Royals bench coach. Fouled away by Josh Thole, Blue Jays backup catcher, giving Russell Martin the day off. Josh Thole is also usually the catcher when R.A. Dickey is on the mound. They were together when Dickey won a Cy Young with the Mets, and he came over in the trade with R.A. Dickey to the Blue Jays. Alex is back, looking up into the glare, and makes a play on the track. That ball carried. Two down.
Yep, Alex, he knows how to angle his head away from the sun. That's one of the things that of the many that he does well on defense. I've never seen him. Well, he's probably dropped one in his career, but I don't remember seeing any balls in the sun that he's ever dropped. It's because he knows how to look away. And that's a trick that they used in the old days before they had sunglasses in this game.
That's a strike to Barney. This may have preceded you, Hud, but Alex had a day in Oakland. We had an afternoon game in Oakland, and I want to say he lost 2, if not 3 in one game. Now, that's not his fault. That's a tough sun field. You can turn your head all you want. You can use sunglasses made by NASA, but if it's in the sun, you can't see it. Ventura gets around a leadoff walk, and the Blue Jays are scoreless in the second.
At one of the most beautiful ballparks in the world, the K. Just a reminder, if you enjoy a cold one, look forward to Miller Time later in tonight's game, brought to you by Miller Lite.
Morales, Gordon, and Orlando against Marcus Stroman. It has been an up and down year for Kendrys Morales, and right now he is in one of the down parts of the season, batting just .128 in his last 13 games. And I'd imagine with what he's done from the left side of the plate this year that he's going to see a lot of that against Stroman, who has a good slider. Kendrys is going to see a whole lot of sliders down against Stroman today.
Just like when he got going after he started the season so poorly, got going by spitting on him, taking those, not swinging at him. That's a good way to get yourself out of the slump, just by not even swinging.
Another slider, and it's still 2 balls and 2 strikes. And that was a fastball down. You know, we say in the game that luck evens out over the course of a 6-month season. So if you line out a few times and you hit into bad luck, you know, you'll get some blue pits and it'll even out. Do you think that luck has evened out for Kendrys Morales yet this year?
I'll say no.
Lays off that slider. 3 balls, 2 strikes. I would agree.
I'm going to say 20 to 25 hits have been hit right at the hole, on the nose, on the screws. I mean, if you get 5 hits, 5 of those hits, 6 of those, that changes your average drastically. But 25,
and the way you feel about yourself.
Exactly.
Right.
Your confidence. There you go.
Good plate appearance. So he dealt with Stroman's approach, which is what the league has been doing to him all year, and he laid off. Look at all those pitches he laid off that were down and in, that he's been swinging at a lot this year.
Yeah, so really, a guy that powerful, you're not going to give him anything up there. And these pitchers at this level, the best in the world, they have immaculate control most of the time. When they don't, it's when you take advantage of them.
A man on for Alex Gordon. Fastball at 93. Royals got Alex Gordon got the Royals' biggest inning going last night with a leadoff single. That was a 3-run 5th inning. On Husker night, Royals were down 2-0 going into that bottom of the 5th inning. Alcides Escobar drove in a run. Eric Hosmer drove in 2. The Royals would add another run in the 6th. Back to Stroman. High throw. Tulowitzki is able to get the out at second base, but that cost the Blue Jays a double play.
Sure enough, that's a routine double play. One hopper. He's a good athlete. Throw was up the line a little bit, but the fact that Tulowitzki had to regroup and Alex was running hard out of the box didn't happen. Has bubble blowing skills.
So now Alex is at first with 1 out, and Paulo Orlando at the plate. Oh, 0-1. Our Toyota League leaders. Now, Paulo Orlando hasn't qualified for a batting title. He's closing in on it. But if he did qualify, he'd have the 2nd highest batting average in the American League. He is 46 plate appearances shy of that, and he'll have a good chance of qualifying himself with Lorenzo Cain in right field. And Ned Yost said he'll ease Lorenzo back into center, but in the meantime, Paulo's playing a lot of center field, and you figure when Lorenzo goes back to center, there's no good reason to take Paulo Orlando's bat out of the lineup.
None at all.
And there's a base hit into right field.
No, he's fun to watch. You know what? He's an aggressive, energetic player who plays with a sense of urgency every single day. And I think that's a lot has to do with where he came from. 9 years of minor league baseball. This kid came up here last year at the beginning of the season and just said, I'm not going back. And I'm going to show you by the way I play, by my body language, by the way I hustle and pay attention to detail. And look at him. He's a fine player the Royals can be proud of.
And look at that. Jeff Montgomery was on with us last night for a few innings and talked about how hard it is to pitch to a guy like Paulo Orlando, who uses the center of the field and has just as many hits to left field as he does to right field.
I can't remember a player, recently anyway, having that many hits in one direction, and that direction being center, where you would just you have to square the ball up perfectly to get it there. but he stays so short with his swings and his hands, and his mechanics never waver. He's like one of the pitchers you talk about. Well, you hope he can repeat his mechanics. Well, when he does, he's on like Duffy has. But as a hitter, when you're repeating the same mechanics as in your swing and you're confident there, there's very little room for error.
Called strike on Drew Butera. Still 0-2. Drew's father, Sal, a former big league catcher and world champion, is part of the Toronto Blue Jays front office / coaching staff. He does some special assignment work and some scouting work for the Blue Jays for most of the first half, and then for the majority of the second half he's on John Gibbons' staff. Slider is outside, 1 ball and 2 strikes. In uniform before the game. And so while Sal is not in the Blue Jays dugout at the moment, he is here at Kauffman Stadium.
You know, the reason why Sal's in uniform is because he throws such great batting practice, and that's why they have him come along.
And he's not part of the established coaching staff, so he can't be in dugout during the game. And most of the time in a situation like this, when they start going over the opponent, they will not ask a father to give information on how to get his son out. And as a result, his son comes through with a base hit into right center. Alex Gordon scores. Paulo Orlando goes to third. And Drew Butera gives the Royals a 1-0 lead.
Very nice bat control. In my conversation with Drew, it turned to offense, and I said, Drew, stay hot. You're having one of your best baseball seasons ever. I said, wear right field out. And he looked at me and said, that's exactly what I'm going to do. And they had an idea that the 2 previous sliders before that way off the plate and away, trying to get him to chase, but he left one out over because he had to come in. And Drew was thinking the same way. Look, it's just a doinker, but look, it's very nice. It's not only did he knock in a run, but he got Paulo over to third base with less than 2. Chance to score him.
And that's upstairs to Raul Mondesi.
Watching Josh Donaldson there as he pounced off there. Look at him, he's holding Paulo Orlando close, because the bunting skills that we've witnessed with Mondesi, they believe something could be up here with Paulo at third base, a very good base runner. Donaldson jumping off that bag, getting ready to come down, and they're thinking he could bunt.
Well, you don't see that very often.
Not that defensive
Third baseman
style.
Basically acting like a first baseman there, holding the runner at the bag, and Stroman would have to make the equivalent of a left-hander's move to first if he wanted to go to third. That was not a suicide squeeze, but a run will score, and the ball goes up the right field line. Mondesi slips, so he'll stop at first. But the Royals take a 2-1 lead, and Drew Butera goes to third on the play.
You know, we talked about it in the open of the show. We even had him on. We highlighted the ability that he has to bunt. He's taken bunting to a different level. There's not a bunter that we've seen in the American League that has the type of technique that he does. Paying attention to it. Every one of us just like this. Now, we've seen the previous 2 bunts down the third base line into the left side, but this is the first one he's pulled with it, and this is what happens. You pull the first baseman off the bag, and you beat the second baseman there. And the pitcher, Stroman, he should have just put that in his pocket and saved further damage, but speed and the Royals caused mistakes. So we're seeing it right here. He leads the Royals with 3 bunt base hits. That's amazing. He's only been here a very short time. He's just played in, this is just his 12th game, and he already leads them in hits. And there's Raleigh. Very comfortable.
First and third, 1 out to Alcides Escobar. Blue Jays have pitched Escobar well in this series. Eske is 1 for 10, and you have to be alive for a squeeze here. 1 ball and no strikes. And I'm sure that's somewhat of a moral victory for the Blue Jays to pitch Escobar well. He was the ALCS MVP when the Royals beat the Blue Jays last year. Big swing, and he fouled it away. 1-1.
Okay, what we're talking about, whenever you drag bunt from the left side and you pull it with you, it's the race. The race is on between the second baseman and you, because the first baseman's going to come in. He's coming in, okay, to field the ball. So first base is vacant, and look at the speed. Mondesi beat him with no problem. That's why with the throw coming and the
Mondesi's running and steals second base. Escobar was swinging. That may have been a hit and run, or maybe just a coincidence that he was swinging, but Mondesi again showing off his legs, and now second and third with 1 out.
Yeah, virtually no chance on that play. Great takeaway. He took a peek back. Mondesi showing his energetic play and the value he brings.
Escobar ground ball to Encarnacion, and Mondesi assumed that Butera was going to go to the plate, and now Butera's in a rundown.
Mondesi needs to go to third and stay. He got a little aggressive there. He forgot who was ahead of him. Rats.
So it's not a very pretty ending to the inning, but the Royals come up with 2 to take the lead.
And then followed up by the base running mistake learning experience for the youngster. 2-0 Royals on top. Most of the offense this series has come from the bat of Devon Travis. One guy who is not surprised by that at all, Eric Hosmer. The two of them have known each other a long time. Eric saying that they started competing against each other at about 10 years old, from about 10 to 14. Haas playing for one of the better teams in the Miami area, Travis playing for one of the better teams in the Palm Beach area, and they would face each other a lot and then see each other a lot. And so far, Yordano Ventura able to do what others have not, retire Travis, but they would face each other often and see each other regularly in tournaments, two of the better teams in the Florida area down there. And Haas saying the one thing that he remembers, great defense, nice swing, but he was always undersized. He has grown into his body and become good. He also remembers seeing the coach whenever they go there on the other side. Devon's father, a cop who looked like a bodybuilder. That's when they knew they were facing Devon Travis's team.
Ball 1-2, Jose Bautista. Thank you, Joel. Devon Travis, we talked about this last night. You know, it was a new name for many of us when the Blue Jays and the Tigers made a trade 2 off seasons ago, but he was considered one of the top 2 or 3 prospects in the Tigers organization. He was blocked by Ian Kinsler at second base. The Tigers needed some help in center field. They traded for Anthony Gose. The Blue Jays needed some help on the infield, and they got Devin Travis.
Kinsler would block anybody. You're in trouble if you come up behind that guy.
A 1-out walk to Bautista, who singled off the left field wall in his first at bat, and now Ventura has walked 1 in each of the first 3 innings. Vote for the Royals Player of the Month at one of the 7 Rally House locations in the KC metro area. All participants will be entered to win a majestic prize pack. One on, one out. Josh Donaldson takes a fastball for strike 1. Donaldson popped out to second in his first at bat. He has 1 hit in the series. He has also walked 3 times and then was hit by a pitch in game 1 by Kelvin Herrera on the side of his helmet. He goes to right field. Bautista first to third, and he's out. Lorenzo Cain guns down Jose Bautista.
Oh, and the crowd couldn't be happier.
Interesting slide there, Hud. He didn't go directly into the bag, and I wonder if that didn't cost him.
Yep. Well, you know, Luis Rivera, third base coach, he waved him to the outside of the base and wanted him to slide away from Cuthbert, who caught it inside. Cain, great job of accuracy there, and he's way out. I mean, I'm surprised he went. The ball was hit hard. Okay, so it got to Cain in plenty of time. Escobar, nice job of letting it go. And a good tag by Cuthbert, diving in there and blocking him. Big out. Second outfield assist for Lorenzo.
So runner at first, 2 down to Edwin Encarnacion.
You know, your right fielder's got to have a little power to play that position in the big leagues. You expect some power, but you expect your best arm to be out there. And why? Because that throw to third base is the longest throw on the diamond. So that's why typically the right fielder has a stronger arm. And it was shown right there.
1-1 on Encarnacion. Three balls, 1 strike. Michael Saunders is on deck. And a full count. So Donaldson will be running on the next pitch.
Secondary pitch, 3-1. If he throws it 3-1, he'll throw it 3-2. He's a little nervous of Encarnacion and his power.
Ventura getting by so far, despite throwing more pitches out of the strike zone than in the strike zone. Donaldson runs, and that's well hit out to Mondesi, who fumbles for a moment and throws out Encarnacion to end the inning. Yordano Ventura is picked up by his defense to face only 4 in the 3rd.
Locaine, he
Royals baseball is brought to you by Chevy. Visit your local Kansas City area Chevy dealer for great prices on the all-new 2016 Malibu. By Panera Bread, food as it should be with 24 KC Metro locations. And by Academy Sports and Outdoors, right stuff, low price every day. 2-0 Royals. Cheslor Cuthbert takes a slider for a strike. Lorenzo Cain just gunned down Jose Bautista, trying to go first to third on a single. Lorenzo is on deck. Cuthbert, Cain, and Hosmer in the bottom of the third, and now the count is 0-2 on Cheslor, who doubled to right center field in the first inning. One ball, two strikes. Royals got RBIs from Butera and Mondesi in their 2-run second inning.
See, Stroman he lives away, down and away. Haven't seen him come up and in on any hitters at all. He's just staying right there on the outside part of the plate, down with the sliders, down with most everything.
Slider stayed up. Still 2 balls, 2 strikes. Cuthbert, like Paulo Orlando, and Paulo singled last inning. Tough to pitch to because he hits the ball to all fields. Now they're going to try and come inside, but it stayed out over the plate, and that is just foul off the left field line.
First time they tried to come in, he couldn't get it in all the way and almost paid for it with another double.
.50 pitches for Stroman. And he goes with a changeup. So he emptied the closet on Cuthbert and picks up his 3rd strikeout.
Sure enough, everything is down, including that changeup there, and it dipped underneath his bat. Good pitch, great location.
Stroman struck out Cain with a slider in the first inning. And slider hung. One hop to Donaldson. 2 down. Don't miss out on KU Day. It's coming up Sunday, August 21st, when the Royals host the Twins. The first 4,000 fans who bring their KU Day themed ticket to Gate A will receive a limited edition gray and blue branded KC cap. So we hope you'll join your fellow Jayhawk fans for an afternoon of Royals baseball. You can purchase those tickets at royals.com/theme tickets. One and one to Hosmer. Eric grounded out to second base in the first inning. Line to third, but that's the swing that the Royals want to see from Eric Hosmer. So Stroman has his first 1-2-3 inning, and at the end of 3, the Royals lead 2-0. low to mid 70s today. It's not September 7th, it's August 7th. Overcast, so that keeps Kauffman Stadium even cooler. And Yordan Ventura, it hasn't been easy for him the first 3 innings, but he held the Blue Jays scoreless, working around 3 walks and a couple of hits. He finished the 3rd inning throwing more pitches out of the strike zone than in the strike zone, but he's made the pitches when he's needed to, and his defense has picked him up. Chop foul to the first base side, and it's 0-2 on Saunders. Blue Jays really need, they believe, Michael Saunders to be productive to go deep into the postseason. They are very right-hand dominant, and they need some production from a left-hand bat to be able to break up all those right-hand hitters. Case in point, what Peter Moylan has done to the Blue Jays in the first 2 games of the series. You get a righty who can be tough against right-hand hitters, keep them in the ballpark, you can shut down the Blue Jays offense. They need a lefty who can counter that.
Better believe it. That's called balance. Got to have it. Great pitch there. Stayed in off the plate. Got to have that balance in order to go all the way. Some say the Blue Jays might be the most well balanced out of any American League teams as far as that goes, and with their 6 starters now. Good pitch. That was a breaking ball. Looks like he's made some corrections by staying back of the ball and on top of it to get that downward 12-6 break. In Tampa, his last start, it was coming in from the side, and it was more of a lateral breaking pitch. It's a little bit more hittable because it's flatter, but that last one right there, Saunders, looked perfectly thrown.
Inside to Tulowitzki, 2 balls and no strikes. Tulowitzki walked leading off the 2nd inning. And now 3-0. Ventura, we talk about a hitter at the plate thinking about his mechanics. He's too mechanical.
Yep.
Ventura looks mechanical to me on the mound today.
I would agree.
And mechanics were an issue in his last start, so you can understand if that's in the back of his mind. Now that right there, just nice and free and easy. Fastball at 96 with movement. And that borderline to say the least. 3-2.
Selective. They are. They're a very patient offense.
And lead the league in walks, the Blue Jays do. Just nicked it foul. Still 3 balls, 2 strikes. Troy Tulowitzki wears number 2 to honor Derek Jeter. That's the player he models himself after. Jeter retiring a couple of seasons ago, and some of the big name Yankees in the past week have said this is going to be it. Mark Teixeira a couple of days ago, and there's a base hit into left center field. Tulowitzki's on with 1 out. And in our T-Mobile greater coverage of baseball this morning, we found out that next week is going to be it for Alex Rodriguez. He's going to retire on Friday and then join the Yankee front office. 4 home runs shy of 700, over 3,000 hits, and of course has had his share of controversy connected to performance enhancing drugs. So he's going to play Friday at home against Tampa Bay and hang him up. Mondesi is out, and that'll drop for a base hit. Melvin Upton pushes Tulowitzki to second base, and the Blue Jays have 2 on with 1 out.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised because Alex Rodriguez hasn't been playing very much. They're obviously Cashman, the general manager, made the trades, got a bunch of young players for the trades that they made here at the deadline, and they're rebuilding. And so I think they've had a conversation with the owner, Hal Steinbrenner, and they worked it out. Can't stay forever.
Fouled back by Thole. I saw the press conference, and Alex Rodriguez is one of the villains in the game now outside of New York because of some of the off-field stuff. But it was the first time that he appeared to be human. He's always had the perception that everything was scripted. Always said the right things. Maybe he didn't do the right things, but he said the right things and always came across as he was completely unaffected. It just almost seemed like a machine the way he'd spit out sound bites, but he was very emotional today. That's the first time, and for me, and I'll bet a lot of people, that they've even seen that side of him, that there truly is a human being inside of all those home runs and all that controversy.
He's been through it. He's been through it all. A lot of it self-inflicted, but I think he's going to be a better person for it. And like Dave Winfield told me when I was 22, 23 years old, breaking into the majors, one thing's guaranteed, you young man, a ball player, you're going to be an ex-ball player. Ooh, I didn't want to hear that at that particular time. That's going to be a tester there.
Paulo Orlando races into the gap, takes a base hit away from Thole, and may have saved a couple of runs.
On contact, the way Thole hit that, he stayed inside of it well with his hands, and it had that little move on the break on the ball towards left field away from Paulo. And I didn't know if he's going to be able to catch it, but those trusty legs and that track speed of his got it without leaving his feet. He loves playing center field. There are no lines that restrict you. To your left, to your right, in and back, you got the whole field to show off, basically. Show the wheels.
Darwin Barney grounded into a fielder's choice to end the top of the second inning. Tulowitzki's at second, Upton's at first. Curveball makes it 0-2. One ball, 2 strikes. Darwin Barney, he had a heck of a night on Friday, didn't he? A couple of errors, one led to a run, one almost led to the tying run in the 9th inning, and then he made a great play on the steal attempt by Paulo Orlando in the 9th inning on a tough throw by Martin. I mean, he went from goat to hero in about 4 or 5 pitches in the 9th inning.
He did, and yesterday talking to him, he said, Paulo couldn't have done me a better favor.
Barney strikes out. Yordano Ventura has 4 in 4 scoreless innings.
Nice job of recovering after the 2 singles, keeping the ball down and out of the zone.
Served as a Kansas City and community activist, county legislator, civil rights advocate, mentor, teacher, and champion for the underserved. Mamie has a long list of career achievements, including being voted into the first Jackson County legislature, helping secure the designation of the 18th and Vine and Historic District. And her crowning achievement, serving to create Bruce R. Watkins Drive, sitting in the Buck O'Neil legacy seat at today's game.
Pretty special you are, Mamie. And I know that you're probably were friends with Buck O'Neil, but he'd be thrilled knowing that you're sitting here today watching the Royals play ball.
Henrys Morales took a leadoff walk in the second inning. And Stroman just continues to pitch him down and in, fastballs and sliders. 60 pitches for Stroman in 3 innings, plus 4 pitches. Still 2-2. How about that for a fast acting sign?
I like it. Someone went to work right away last night when they got home, because they were probably as excited as the fans were leaving the ballpark last night. I loved it. I could feel the energy walking out of the building. It was so nice. I mean, the fans were happy to see a win, and they beat the Blue Jays, and little did they know that Raleigh had a big part of it. And when they got home, they saw Raleigh.
Fouled away again by Morales. You know, in a way, the praying mantis kind of sums up the way the Royals can make other teams feel. Right?
How so? Oh,
look at that nasty hop.
What a play.
Encarnacion, man, watch your lips. And the Blue Jays get an out of that.
Great reaction. Morales, he was looking for his 16th double. That would have been a 16th double for sure. But it hopped up, and Encarnacion just got it in the vicinity. Stroman, an excellent athlete, had no problem.
You know, we showed you at the end of the game last night, Royals Vice President Mike Swanson, the praying mantis went up his back and on his neck. Doesn't this kind of sum up how the American League has felt about the Royals the last 2 years?
Yeah, hello.
You know, they're just kind of like, you know, hey.
But he gave him a little love tap.
And they won't go away. You know, I mean, hey, leave me alone. You know? And you know, you think you can just kind of brush them aside, and then it just keeps crawling up your neck.
That live TV, you can't beat it. That was fabulous. I fell out of my chair. I thought my head was going to explode with the laughter, and Swanee, the reaction.
One and one on Alex. Alex reached on a fielder's choice and scored one of the 2 runs in the second inning. He scored on a base hit by Drew Butera. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Yeah, that was John Walston, the cameraman over there on that first base line that picked up that whole shot of that praying mantis. John, way to go. I waited after the game to talk to John and tell him how fabulous that was. There was a live shot going on. Goldberg was doing his interview on the field. And then he was able to keep that shot and then also get Goldberg's interview. Was just fabulous. Way to go, John. You got skills, man. You cracked us up.
We all love John, but doesn't John look like that composite sketch of every guy that just robbed a convenience store?
Here we go.
They always have a black cap on and black sunglasses.
John, I told you. Yeah,
that's right. That's the sketch you see on the news when someone robs a gas station.
But he's not anything like that. He's kind-hearted, gentle, and loving, and has camera skills. Way to go, John.
Paulo Orlando single to right, and he scored one of the 2 runs in the second inning. Fastball over the outside, strike 1. Gordon and Orlando scored on RBIs from Butera and Mondesi. Base hit left field. Another 2-hit game for Paulo Orlando. And the Royals have 2 on with 1 out. And Paulo Orlando is hitting .336.
Yep, you can't contain him. You just can't. He takes his hands right to where he wants to hit it. Watch the hands now. They're going to stay close to his body. They stay in and hit that inside pitch. Barrels it. That's the whole idea. Line the barrel up with the ball, because that's where you're going to get your most sock. And it had enough to get it by Tulowitzki. Finding the barrel is what most pitchers don't want to do with the baseball, but hitters use those hands to put it right where they want to line it up.
That's a big number, and we're coming up on 1 month since the All-Star break. Just out in front. 1 ball, 1 strike on Drew Butera.
Royals 5 hits with runners in scoring position yesterday, and already 2 today. That's stepping up. That's what they need. It's what they've been missing since the break.
That was a swing, and it's 1-2. First base umpire is Quinn Wolcott. Pretty much the same swing, or abbreviated swing, on back-to-back pitches. Stroman gets his 4th strikeout, and there are 2 down.
Yeah, he just couldn't check it. 2 previous pitches were just the same.
So now it's Mondesi, who had a bunt single and got a run to the plate with that bunt in the second inning, and then stole second base. Chops it out to Devin Travis, and that's the inning. Royals strand 2 in the bottom of the 4th.
How about the first place Cleveland Indians, as we see in our Terminia Mazda game break? That would be the swing of Didi Gregorius. Then the short porch at Yankee Stadium. Carlos Carrasco victimized, and all those stud pitchers for the Indians. Danny Salazar now on the disabled list. We saw Josh Tomlin get hit around the other night. Hard to believe the Indians have the highest ERA in the American League since the All-Star break.
Seems impossible, doesn't it?
They're going to have some troubles. I'm telling you, they're not used to holding that spot, and they've been at it for a long time holding it. 52 left. They better stop the leak. Detroit's hungry. They feel it.
Devin Travis struck out in the first inning, grounded to short in the third. Third time through for the Blue Jays against Ventura. Giordano wanted that pitch.
But he's doing better with his body language, not getting upset at the umpire like he did in his last start. That's right down the middle of the plate. Couldn't say I blame him if he did get a little chapped.
And now more frustrated. It has been an inconsistent strike zone in the first 4 innings.
I would totally agree with you.
Snap bat. Cuthbert will set his feet and throw out Devin Travis.
Nothing like a jam sandwich.
Time for trivia, presented by Sprint. Got some help from Darren Erstad last night. Of the top 10 active hits leaders, name the only 3 born in the United States. Paulo Orlando was born in Brazil. So we're not falling for it this time. Alex Rodriguez. Oh, that's number 1.
There you go. Ichiro's not in there because he wasn't born there.
That's good call, Hud.
I wanted to use that. I've been sitting on that since I saw the question.
An excellent choice, except for the fact that you have to be born in the United States. Not who have been to the United States, born in the United States.
Has he been in Duffy's locker with the bear suit there?
3-1 on Encarnacion. Excuse me, Jose Bautista, who has singled and walked. That's a swing. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Bautista nearly knocked over the left field wall with a base hit in the first inning, but because it hit the wall, he was held to a single. Lined out to Paulo Orlando, 2 down.
All right, now on a line drive at you and you're a center fielder, those are tough balls, but watch him up the top of your screen. Watch Paulo up here. He's going to freeze right there. He's freezing. Okay, he freezes for a second because he knows it's hit at him, but he's got to pick up the spin, whether it's top spin or underspin. For that split second on contact, he freezes. He's trying to pick it up, and your vision is so important as a baseball player. I mean, as a human being, basically, but really, when you play this sport, you got to have a keen eye and you got to have a sharp eye.
Paulo to the track to make the play. 5 scoreless innings for Giordano Ventura, and that's his first 1-2-3 inning.
Looking good. I see him. There he is. Or there she is.
Well, one of those two statements was correct.
You can go see John.
There you go, John. Third time through for the Royals against Marcus Stroman. Escobar is 0 for 2. And that slider is outside. 2 balls and no strikes. Royals scored 2 in the bottom of the second inning on RBIs from Drew Butera and Raul Mondesi, the 8 and 9 hitters. 2 balls and 1 strike on Escobar. Upton gets turned around. That ball carries and it's gone. Alcides Escobar to center field for just his second home run of the year. Man, I thought with Donaldson, I thought he hit his ball pretty hard for the final out of the top of the 5th. And if that didn't go out, I didn't think Escobar's was going to go out, but Escobar got a little more.
I agree. That's a total shock to Hauser right there. Nobody, including Escobar, probably believed he could go deep there. Good, easy swing. Home runs are byproducts of those, and believe me, he needed some carry, but with the wind blowing in, oh, no, and that fan had a good opportunity to catch that souvenir, and he had frying pan hands. Clank. Great stroke by Eske. Yeah, fired him up. I don't think he's ever hit a home run at the K there, has he, you think? I don't think I've ever seen in my 5 years here.
Well, we'll find out if he did, because John Gibbons is asking for an umpire review. This is not a challenge. This goes back to the original instant replay where home runs, as far as boundaries go, can be challenged.
He wants the homer in the worst way. Who wouldn't? Yeah.
And that railing, it's tough to see from that angle, but that railing is not hovering over the fence, and it is a home run. So it gives the impression that that railing is right on top of the padding and that the fan is reaching over into play, but he's not. Interesting that that happens with the Blue Jays in town. Remember Game 6 of the championship series and the Mike Moustakas home run that was reviewed, and Blue Jays fans were up in arms. So you can see that's at least a foot back of the wall, so you can be reaching over that railing and not be reaching over the wall. Fouled away by Cuthbert. Alcides Escobar had gone 145 at bats in between home runs. It is his second career home run to center field, but that one was at Fenway Park.
And that's not a short distance either. Fenway, that's a pretty good poke there, but I didn't think he'd ever gone deep here that way. That was a bomb.
Cuthbert doubled in the first inning and then struck out on a changeup in the third. Plays off a slider. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Stroman has struck out 4. He is coming off a career high 13 strikeouts. That was Monday at Houston. 13 strikeouts in 7 innings. 2-2 on Cuthbert. He had never struck out more than 9 before Monday, and then struck out 13 Astros. The only run he allowed was a home run to Jose Altuve. Astros are a big strikeout team. Cuthbert cracked his bat. Donaldson backhands and throws him out. One away. If you have a classic car that you want to show off at Kauffman Stadium, come on out on Sunday, August 21st for our Cruise to the K Classic Car Show and exhibit. Cars will be on display throughout the day in the Royals parking lot. A $45 ticket will include one vehicle entered into the car show, 2 game tickets, a parking pass, a dash plaque, and a t-shirt. And you can order those ticket packages right now at royals.com/car show. Into the wind in right field, and Saunders backpedaling to the edge of the track. 2 down. Lorenzo Cain is 0 for 3. So there you go. The wind blowing out of the northeast. That accounts for the cooler temperatures this weekend. Last forecast I saw, we are going to avoid 90 until Wednesday.
Great. It's been a beautiful break for us.
It is not a shy praying mantis. We know that.
No, he's very friendly.
Very curious. You had brought this up when Eric Hosmer was really struggling about him perhaps moving off the plate. And that is the recent adjustment for him.
Yep,
started at the end of the Tampa Bay series.
Moving that way off the plate. Giving him a little bit more freedom inside where he can use those long arms and still be able to reach the outside part of the plate. But you know.
But now the fastball that really ties him up isn't a strike anymore.
Right. He can take that, and also he can step into it.
That's his first hit. He lined out to third in his last at bat. Hosmer's at first with 2 down.
Yeah, it's all about adjustments, and sometimes, as Ned was saying in his office today, hitters are stubborn. They don't want to make adjustments, and a small adjustment is a huge one. So you know they're pretty stubborn because they're confident, saying, "Hey, look, I can do this my way." Until at this level, they go to the hitting coach Dale Swaim when they're saying, "Okay, I need a little bit of help now. Can you help me?" But they don't come to him otherwise, and he doesn't go to them. Because at this level, these guys are up here because they have the skill to hit here. Down in the minors, you might work with them more and say, "Hey, I got an approach for you. I want you to try." But up here, you're there for them, and they come to you when there's issues. Some guys have issues, and they don't come to you, and hitting coaches want to go to them, but still, you have to be a little bit reluctant to do that at times. Dale's not a guy who's going to push himself on him. Ned Yost gave him rave reviews before the game, talking about how good he is. He has a situation. He has a solution for everything. Oh, too bad. It's the right idea.
Royals get another run in the 5th inning. Alcides Escobar. He had gone 145 at bats without a home run, and he hits one to center field.
Of all places. Way to go, Esky. Flex that muscle.
Scoreless innings, and the Royals' bottom of the order has been most productive with a 3-0 lead into the top of the 6th inning. Alcides Escobar just homered to center field to put the Royals in front 3-0. It's Sundays with Denny Matthews. Where were you 12 years ago today?
In this ball yard,
Doing?
giving a speech.
Inducted into the Royals Hall of Fame. Denny Matthews 12 years ago today.
Herc Robinson made a very nice introduction. I was sitting right next to my mom as Herc was introducing me, and as he said, "Here's Denny Matthews," my mom said, "Make it quick."
Did she really? Oh, yeah.
So typical of her. Make it quick. She didn't want to sit there and listen to some long speech. So I made it quick.
She'd heard enough from you.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah, for a long time.
I have a picture in my house. Denny, when Denny would induct someone into the Royals Hall of Fame or be on the field for a presentation, he and I had a little sign that he would acknowledge me up in the booth while he was down in the field. One hop to Cheslor Cuthbert. Edwin Encarnacion is the first out. And he did the same thing when he was inducted into the Royals Hall of Fame, and it was captured. Hey, was it John Sleezer, the Kansas City Star?
Uh-huh.
And I have a picture of it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, on that day. So I'll never forget that. And then 3 years later, Denny receives the Ford Frick Award. There's John Sleezer, the great. And that word gets thrown around a lot, but it applies to him. The great John Sleezer from the Kansas City Star. 3 years later, the Ford Frick Award in Cooperstown. Did your mom say the same thing before that speech?
She didn't have to. I told her, I don't care. I'm going to talk as long as I want to. That's what they tell you. That's what Jeff Idelson said. That you're only going to do this one time. They give you 5 to 7 minutes. And he said, you know what? If you want to talk for an hour and 28 minutes, you go right ahead. And they tell everybody that.
Which speech was more nerve-wracking, the one in front of your home here or the one in front of the world?
Well, there were, I think they said 83 or 84 Hall of Famers on the stage behind you.
Alex makes a nice running play on Saunders.
So you have all these great baseball players who are in the Hall of Fame behind you, and they adjudged, because Cal Ripken went in that year, they adjudged that were 95,000 people out in front of you.
Whoa.
So I don't think there were 95,000 here when we did the Royals Hall of Fame.
That's a no-brainer.
But we did have a nice crowd. Yeah, that was a daunting experience, but Ryan helped loosen me up before I went on stage.
Really? What do you do?
Can we get this in with 2 strikes?
Sure.
Or 2 outs?
He and I have been exchanging Detroit Tigers minor league reports for years, trying to sneak them in when you least expect it.
Okay.
He sneaked one in on me just as I was going up on the stage.
Oh, that's right. I think I'd heard that. And that's just another attaboy.
3 up, 3 down. A 9-pitch 6th inning for Ventura, and he has set down the last 8 Blue Jays.
Way to go, yo!
the bottom of the 6th inning. Very pleasant weekend in Kansas City. Scott Feldman is a Chevy call to the bullpen. The Royals have Gordon, Orlando, and Butera coming up. But I'll give you the longer version of the story Denny told you.
Okay.
When Comerica Park opened up in 2000 in Detroit, all of a sudden the Tigers started putting out this enormous packet of pages, Tigers minor league report, not just to Tigers announcers, to us, and they still do it. I mean, it is 10 pages every day
on their minor leagues.
So Denny and I had some fun with that in the early years. Alex leads off our Sonic Slam inning, and our contestant is a neighbor of Denny's, perhaps. Richard Nowak in Leawood. If the Royals hit a home run in this inning, Richard wins $900. If the Royals hit a grand slam, it's 25 grand for Richard. So, as Denny said, we had fun, and we'd take these Tiger minor league reports and we'd say to each other, hey, do you have a Tigers minor league report? Because if not, you can have mine. And that graduated from slipping it into each other's briefcases or slipping it under each other's doors at the hotel.
I like it.
Denny wasn't on a road trip, and I had a Tigers minor league report FedEx to his home in Leawood. He had an envelope from the Tigers that said, from the office of Dave Dombrowski. It was waiting for me in my hotel room when we got to Detroit. Now, I know Dave Dombrowski, but I don't know him that well. But I'm thinking, wow, what does Dave Dombrowski want from me? Well, it was a Tigers minor league report. But then I had the ultimate.
Yep.
I got with Jeff Idelson the day that Denny was elected into the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. And I had a Tigers minor league report. 2-2 on Alex. And I convinced Jeff Idelson, I put it in an envelope. I said, can you give this to Denny before he goes on stage? And he did. And I'm like, how do you top that one? So Denny sits down in Cooperstown and opens up an envelope. You're probably wondering, what in the heck is this? Minutes before he's inducted with the Ford C. Frick Award, and Alex pulls it on the ground to Devin Travis, and there's one down.
That is outstanding.
And it still goes on today, by the way.
So did it loosen you up a little bit when you got that?
Totally.
Oh,
yeah, totally.
Way to go, Rhino. Way to get him.
You can't beat fun at the old ball.
No, you can't. Oh boy.
Yeah, that was good stuff.
Yeah, just when we were in Detroit earlier this year, I saw that minor league report and I said, what? Really? Like, I'm going to go over their minor league report and threw it right in the garbage can.
Well, you know, the thing about that is nobody in the history of the Tiger minor league report has ever read it.
Right. But I tell you what, Hud, I got that minor league report on the stage at Cooperstown.
That's pretty impressive. Way to go, Rhino. That's some well thought out, well investigative stuff.
And it still goes on, by the way, to this day. That Tigers minor league report will show up just about anywhere.
That took some work for you to do that.
Yes, it did. Paulo's had a good day, and now he'll hit one to center field, and 2 down. Let's answer our sprint trivia question. We're going to throw this one on you here, Denny. Of the top 10 active hits leaders, only 3 were born in the United States. I have already identified Alex Rodriguez.
Top 10 active hits leaders.
3
born in the U.S.
were born in the U.S. Only 3 of them.
Wow.
Yeah. That's what we've been saying. Oh, 0-1 to Drew Butera. 1 for 2 with an RBI single.
I don't feel so bad if Denny can't get one right away either, for the record.
I mean, I've tried Ian Kinsler, I've tried Joe Mauer, I've tried Adrian Gonzalez.
Oh,
never would.
Huh?
Yep. Never would have gotten AJ Pierzynski.
Never.
No.
Good question.
Wow. You know what? About time they won one.
Do you remember a few years ago when Holiday homered off Halladay on a holiday?
No way.
Yes.
That did not.
Yes, in Philadelphia. Matt Holliday homers off Roy Halladay on Memorial Day.
Only in
on
baseball.
a holiday.
That's great.
2-2 on Butera. There are only 3 foreign-born players that have gotten to 3,000 hits. Pretty soon it'll be Ichiro Suzuki. The first 3 are Rod Carew, Rafael Palmeiro, and Roberto Clemente, who was exactly 3,000 hits.
Exactly. Now, they could have used that trivia question after Ichiro gets his 3,000, but they just went ahead and spent it right there.
Where was Rodney Cline Carew born?
Jamaica?
No.
Panama.
Panama. And the doctor's name was Rodney Cline, who delivered him, thus Rodney Cline Carew.
Really? I didn't know that. Wow. Thank you, Denny.
You can listen to any other broadcast in Major League Baseball today, and you won't get that information.
No. Go ahead and try.
The Royals staying on top of the Jays, trying to get that series. And folks, just like we promised you earlier in the game, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite. And watching Yordano Ventura pitch today has been a beautiful thing. His curveball's working like it used to, over the top, 12-6. His fastball's working, and so is that defense. It's always steady. It never lets you down, believe me. He'll save your pitches, and they'll save you some runs. But Ventura, he's been effectively wild today.
94 pitches as he pitches to the lower third of the Blue Jays order. One big hop to Cuthbert, and there's one away. Denny, with you in the booth and with what we've witnessed with Danny Duffy this year and hoping that Yordano Ventura gets there, can you think of anybody or more than one person in the Royals organization that for several years the Royals just waited on and were patient with, and then, not to make it sound like it was overnight, but then in very quick fashion that pitcher was borderline elite status?
Yeah, a couple of guys come to mind, and both had really good stuff, and you're going to have to way back to 69, 70, and the Royals had a left-handed pitcher who was a converted outfielder named Jim Rooker. And it took Rook a while, not quite as long as Duffy, but it took him a while to lock in, and then he became a pretty good pitcher. So the other one that comes to mind is Danny Jackson, and he had as nasty a stuff as anybody that's ever pitched for the Royals. And anybody that ever tried to catch him or hit against him, they'd tell you he, at times when he had his A game, he was unhittable.
I can vouch for that. First real big league slider I ever saw, and it was in Double-A.
Danny Jackson.
Yes, and I walked back to the dugout in Jacksonville. I walked back and I did some peek backs, just like the Rays did. Oh,
look at Escobar and Hosmer on the other end.
That was pretty good.
Look at Esky all the way in right field. He finished. That was some kind of feathering. I mean, that ball was by him. It looked like it was a hit all the way. And Josh Thole's been robbed twice now. Once by Paulo Orlando in center. Now watch this one here. Hit the mound. Look at his footwork. And Haas, 2 hands on that ball. Way to feather it in. He almost traveled. He got the ball out of his glove. And look at Haas. Good concentration, Denny.
Yeah, and what a great thing for an infielder to know. If you just get the ball on the way somewhere in the area, Hosmer's going to handle it. And that gives you the freedom to make a play like that. Just get it and throw it in that direction.
Sweet play.
Were Duffy and Jackson similar in that walks and pitch count were the early issue?
Yes. Yeah, and it didn't take Danny, kind of like Rooker, didn't take Danny Jackson quite as long as Duffy. But just really, really good stuff. Look what Jackson did late in the season and into the playoffs in '85, what he did for the Royals to win the World Series. He was truly the stopper.
A 4-pitch walk to the number 9 hitter, Darwin Barney. That is Ventura's 4th walk, but his first since the 3rd inning. Giordano had set down 10 straight before the walk to Darwin Barney.
Yeah, that's why I said he's effectively wild today. I mean, he's had some at-bats facing hitters where, you know, he'd fall behind and lose them, and then he'd come right back and get him 1, 2, 3. So it's been interesting. Dave Island knows every time Giordano goes out there that something could come up, but so far it hasn't.
And now Devin Travis goes the other way. Barney's going to go to 3rd, so the walk and the single are big, because now in a 3-run game, the big 3 are coming up for the Blue Jays, and Ned Yost is coming up out of the dugout. Jose Bautista, Josh Donaldson, Edwin Encarnacion are coming up with runners at 1st and 3rd and 2 down. And Ned Yost is going to go with the same guy that he needed in the 7th inning in the first 2 games. Peter Moylan is a Chevy call to the bullpen.
As Panera takes us around the league, we see the action. Cleveland just losing. New York wins it. Baltimore blasting Chicago. Texas over Houston in our Tamina Mazda game break. James Shields today giving up 4 home runs. He had finally settled down for the White Sox, but gives up 4. A couple of them to Manny Machado. 3 homers for Manny Machado in the first 3 innings. Here in Kansas City, Peter Moylan is in. He was a guest of ours with Monty and I on the pregame show, and said something interesting. He said he doesn't look at the new role in the bullpen as a challenge. He says it's exciting, brings him a new sense of joy for the game, and how perfect for the Australian to come into AC/DC's TNT. You know that lyric, right, Hud?
Oi. Oi.
Yeah, well, he says that in 2010 in Atlanta, they changed it on the board to Moy, Moy, and the crowd would chant that when he came in. Denny's favorite group, AC/DC.
Yes. So we're going to miss Shields in the series upcoming?
He only went
Yes,
an
we
inning.
will.
He only went an inning plus today.
Yeah, but he needed a shield in front of him. But we miss him.
Moylan has faced Bautista in each of the first 2 games, striking him out on Friday and getting him to ground out to third last night. That's backing out of play. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Sinker slider. That's what Moylan's using, and Moylan has been really good. Talking with him today about that slider, he says, I'm leaning hard to the third base line as his body leans from the sidearm angle like that. He says he's got one that starts in back of the hitter, the right-handed batter, and he's got one that starts in the middle that finishes off of the plate, but it's been breaking 2 feet, and he's happy with it.
That'll score a run. So wild pitch. So the 4-pitch walk to the number 9 hitter with 2 outs turns into a run. Travis moves up to second base. It's 2-2 on Bautista.
Looks like Drew tried to backhand it. Yeah, and he did. Instead of just turning his glove over and thumbs out on that ball there, he could have at least kept it in front of him and it hit up off the heel.
Struck him out.
That's the one we're talking about. That nice 2-foot breaker. Too bad for the wild pitch, but Moylan does the job.
Thank you, Denny.
You're welcome, guys.
Royals baseball is brought to you by Thoroughbred Ford. Ready for a great deal on a new Ford? Then it's time to go to Thoroughbred Ford. Three 3-0 Royals. Yordano Ventura charged with 1 run in 6 2/3 innings. The run scored after he was out of the game on a wild pitch. Peter Moylan came on and struck out Jose Bautista, and the Royals lead is 2 as they come up in the bottom of the 7th inning. Scott Feldman stays out there for Toronto to face Mondesi, Escobar, and Cuthbert. Mondesi put down a bunt single in the 2nd inning. He is playing in his 11th big league game, and he already leads the Royals with 3 bunt hits. The bunt single today also drove in a run, getting Paulo Orlando down from 3rd, and Mondesi also mixed in a stolen base, and the Blue Jays are defending against the bunt as Feldman misses high for ball 1. Royals scored all 3 against starter Marcus Stroman, who went 5 innings. Feldman got the Royals in order in the 6th.
Feldman's a sinker, slider, changeup guy. Stays on top with that downhill angle, gets some good bite to the little sink. Good guy to bunt off of. Even if they're in, doesn't matter. Fielder's got to be perfect with his kind of speed. Man, he can just touch it anywhere he wants. He's got to be as fast as Jarrod Dyson, but he's a much more precise bunter. He can get that ball down where he wants it.
Tolley tried to pull it back into the strike zone. 2-2. And now Tolley and home plate umpire Nick Lentz talk over that last pitch. That ball is sinking, and it will drop in front of Upton. 2 hits for Mondesi, and he's on to begin the bottom of the 7th. Alcides Escobar comes to the plate. Esky with our Jeep drive of the game back in the 5th inning.
I mean, to tell you, it was a drive. Dead center field. 2nd home run of the year. Now, they weren't sure it was all the way over, but after they replayed it, gave it to him. He's pumped. Now, let's just hope that he doesn't swing for the fences again for the next 3 or 4 games. Just try to stay within yourself. Like to see him peek down there at 3rd base just now.
And Donaldson saw that, and Donaldson took a step or 2 in. So
you're always watching. You know, if you're a 3rd baseman, you can play games with the hitter too and back way up, and then when the hitter's focusing on the pitch coming in.
How about a hit and run? Oh, just foul, and that scores Mondesi.
There's a lot of cat and mouse games going on between the hitter and the 3rd baseman, but that was a good swing. He stayed on top of it. Tommy hawked it, just foul.
Escobar had gone 145 at bats in between home runs. Bunting again. And Donaldson not in time. Little indecision there as Feldman and Donaldson were both going to make the play, and the hesitation cost the Blue Jays. They'll take another look, but for the moment the Royals have runners at 1st and 2nd and nobody out.
Yeah, it's a great idea again. Sinker baller, ball's going down. It wasn't perfect. Had it been right down the line, there would have been no play. Donaldson would have put it in his pocket, but Escobar is good velocity. I mean, he had some firmness to the bunt, and that allowed it to get by Feldman. Good hustle. He earned it. Stay hot.
Cheslor Cuthbert looks down at third base coach Mike Jerschele, who now begins to go through the signs. And we'll see if they are token signs or if some sort of a play is on. Cuthbert does have one sacrifice bunt. And he takes outside. This would be a challenge for a right-hand batter. Trying bunting against Feldman. That angle.
I'm letting him swing away.
Yeah, me
sure.
too.
You got 2-run lead here. You can add on big time, especially the way he's been swinging. Cuthbert. 293. Big hole in the right side. Well, it's a good try, but looked a little bit lost.
And that bunt attempt right there might be all Ned Yost needs to take the bunt off.
Take your chances of slashing and dashing and finding a hole.
Swinging away, base hit right field. Mondesi is held, and the bases are loaded with nobody out. 2 more hits for Cheslor Cuthbert.
That's right. You know what? Hey, look, the bunt it takes a certain skill level to be able to be a consistent bunter. But when you got a hit like a swing like his, and you're consistent with that foot, that stride foot, you're able to stay on top, making some contact, swinging down, find that hole, right situation there. Just hit it too hard to score Mondesi. Yeah, that ball was up, and he's hammered it.
I mentioned the one sacrifice bunt for Cuthbert this year. This is his 7th professional season, and he has a total of 4 sacrifice bunts.
Yeah.
So
good decision by take that bunt back off, because he didn't look comfortable at all.
he may have done it on his own too. We had learned that more times than not, when a hitter for the Royals puts down a sacrifice bunt that you wouldn't be expecting, if you go by the book, that's the player making the call on his own. It's not coming from the bench.
And that comes with trust. After the last 2 seasons, there is a lot of trust in there.
Backhand stop by Tolley. Ball 1 to Lorenzo Cain. Mondesi single to center. Escobar had a bunt single. And Cuthbert just single to right.
It's time to send the Blue Jays a parting gift. Wish them well on their way and get their first series in over a month.
Two 2-0 on Cain.
Cain, he's due this year with the bases loaded. He's just 1 for 7. That's right, ma'am. We'd like to see it too.
Foul, 2-1. Lorenzo has 18 at-bats against Feldman and 8 hits, 7 singles and 1 double.
Feldman, he's been up in the zone. Oh, he got him another one right there. Just missed it. He's telling himself that now. Hope I can get another one.
Blue Jays starting rotation has the best ERA in the league. The Blue Jays bullpen has the 10th best ERA in the league. And that's why the move for Feldman. Outside, full count.
if you're a hitter, you're in total swing mode right here. But with Haas up and nobody out, you know, gonna have to lay off the one that's really bad, but just look down the middle. Oh,
Impressive, but foul. But where's that going to land?
man, plenty of distance.
Not a spot where you're expecting a souvenir baseball.
No, but you know, it was off the plate. If that ball's out over the plate, that's a salami. So it was a good spot there by Feldman. Might try the other corner.
Got him. Where the pitch didn't move a whole lot. I'm assuming that is not where Scott Feldman wanted to put that pitch.
No, I assume you're right. That's right down the middle, and Locane tried to do too much with it. And he must have been looking for something else, but anyway, his swing didn't look good on it.
Eric Hosmer's coming up, and John Gibbons is going to go to his only lefty in the pen, Brett Cecil. Baseball is brought to you by Dodge. Find your summer of performance with great deals at the Dodge Summer Clearance Event. Royals had the bases loaded, one out. Feldman got a strikeout against Kane, and now Brett Cecil comes on to face Eric Hosmer. Brett Cecil's ERA is over 5. His opponent's batting average is almost .320. He pitched on Friday night, and he faced Hosmer, and Hosmer grounded out to short. Inside. Now, we were talking last at bat, Hud, about Hosmer backing off the plate.
Yeah.
When he was on the plate, that first pitch right there from Cecil would have been in the strike zone.
Yep.
He didn't have to swing at that pitch anymore.
I'm hoping that adjustment keeps working. Ooh, man, he was right on top of that. Cecil, his fastball is 87 to 94, curveball and a changeup. You see the bases are full of Royals. Chance to get some more insurance against this powerful Blue Jays team. It's never a bad idea, and Chris Young in the bullpen.
Breaking ball that was up, and it's 1-2.
It's a good thing Cecil's going from the windup, because where Josh Donaldson is playing, now that's a hanger there. Donaldson's playing way off that bag over there. Mondesi could get as big a lead. You see this? He could get all the way down here and just walk home here, but Cecil is going from the stretch, and so that's going to shorten the time.
Still 1-2.
He's got some Really good swings going there. Somebody made a nice catch. Cecil now ahead in the count, going to try to bury a breaker.
Hosmer thinks he made contact, and the home plate umpire, Nick Lentz, I think he's going to rule that that ball was in the dirt before it went into Tolley's glove.
See, and look at it. Check it out. See the dirt on it. As Lentz wipes it down clean.
So Nick Lentz, a minor league call-up umpire, is going to go with the veterans here and see if they saw anything different. Contact. Saw the dirt kick up.
Hit the ground. Pretty close. It definitely bounced though before it went in the glove, so I'm going to say that it hit the dirt. Yeah, foul ball. Haas has another chance, and sometimes that's all you need to make a difference and a change in this game. In the score anyway, because Haas has I knew that he's going to have to discipline himself to lay off of that breaker, and it did bounce. You get a piece of it and it bounces, it's a foul ball. Now if he catches it cleanly in the glove, he's out.
So that close, fraction of an inch from a strikeout for Cecil, and instead Hosmer's still in there. Two and two.
Fastball in to set up the breaker away. Pitchers, they fall into a pattern, but when you're ahead in the count like that, you can set the pitches up.
Back-to-back strikeouts with the bases loaded. And now it's up to Kendrys Morales. Morales has walked, grounded to first, and grounded to third. All those at-bats left-handed. And now Tolley and Cecil are going to make sure they're on the same page before going after Morales, who has really struggled lately with runners in scoring position.
He has. Coming into this game, he's been hitless in his last 15 at-bats with runners in scoring position. Need to get those runs home, or not all of them, but just how about one of them? Two with a good clean hit. Got some pretty good throwing arms out there.
Now it looks like Chris Young is going to get the 8th. Hit well to center field. Upton is back. Way back. Slam. Kendrys Morales.
He says, I'm going to take that first pitch and make a deposit. 18th home run. 54th RBI all on one swing in the deepest part of the yard here at the K. That ball didn't go to the hydration station. It went past it. It went to dead central.
Well, that takes care of Ophir last 15 with runners in scoring position.
I'll say, with an exclamation point, he knew it. Nothing better than swinging and jogging, especially with them full. Stakes attached. Oh, yeah.
Well, we wondered, once the streak was over, would that lead to a big breakout game on offense? And the Royals have 7. And they're not even done with the 7th inning yet. Alex is 0 for 2 with a walk and a run scored. Cecil's breaking ball was up, but called a strike. And it's 1-2. And Alex Gordon strikes out. So the Blue Jays bullpen ends up striking out the side. The first 2 strikeouts were huge, but then this pitch, maybe even out of the strike zone, results in a grand slam for Kendrys Morales and a 6-run Royals lead. Will be here for a 3-game series beginning tomorrow, and that man on the left, Chris Sale, will pitch the series opener against Edinson Volquez. 6:30 all 3 nights with pregame coverage. First pitch at 7:15. Our University of Kansas hospital injury report. Alex Avila, who's had some big hits against the Royals with the Tigers and the White Sox, is on the disabled list. Been out since July the 5th, having a tough year in his first year away from Detroit. Chris Young was prepared to come into the game with a 2-run lead. Thanks to the Kendrys Morales grand slam, he has a 6-run lead. Donaldson grounds it out to Escobar. And Josh Donaldson, Jose Bautista, and Edwin Encarnacion in this series has yet to do anything other than hit a single, and none of those 3 have driven in a run.
Fantastic job of Royals pitching, shutting down a powerful team. That's you got to give them credit. Royals on their way to their first series win since the break. And you know, since the break, there hasn't been many easy breathing late innings when the Royals have the lead. I mean, this is nice. It's almost like, really, I mean, this, you know, it's a dangerous Blue Jays team. They have power, but man, to have this kind of a cushion, a 6-run lead, whew, hadn't happened in a long time.
Hosmer backpedals to the grass, and Encarnacion is hitless today. Group tickets and party areas are still available. You can invite your friends, co-workers, or organization out for a night at the K, you'll receive great discounts and scoreboard recognition. Groups of 20 or more can contact Royals Group Sales at groupsales@royals.com, or the number on your screen, option number 4, groupsales@royals.com. Well, the Royals are without Luke Hochevar, done for the year. Wade Davis is on the disabled list. Joakim Soria has struggled. Kelvin Herrera, we assume, is unavailable. He pitched the first 2 games of the series, and he had a 29 pitch game on Friday, so Ned Yost had to move some pieces around. And if Kendrys Morales had not hit the grand slam, it would appear that Ned was going to go with Chris Young for the 8th and Joakim Soria for the 9th. We don't know that for sure, but now Ned might be able to get through the 8th and 9th innings with Chris Young and let Soria relax, Kelvin Herrera relax.
That would be ideal. Big hit like that, man, I tell you, that does a lot. It relieves a lot of tension, a lot of pressure.
Phillips 66 shows us what's in the tank. Soria has very good career numbers, especially as a closer against the Toronto Blue Jays. Alex makes a play in left field, and Chris Young comes out of the pen after the Morales grand slam and gets the Jays in order. Today's copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Kansas City Royals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Kansas City Royals Baseball Club. Ryan Lefevre, Rex Hudler, with Joel Goldberg, Jeff Montgomery, and
Rally,
which is exactly what the Royals have done the last 2 games with the praying mantis, which is a little more frightening when you really zoom in on it. That's one of them. Salvy's had the other one on his cap all day.
Yeah, that's the original Rally. You wonder if they're going to make that a pet and find a cage for it and feed it and take care of it and keep him around, because if he can keep helping to generate wins like that, they need him. They can get back to 500. That's their goal.
Pitching change for the Blue Jays. It's Joey Biagini.
That's right. I knew that's who that was. 6'1", 195 pounds. Nope. I was wrong. That was Daniel Barnes' height and weight. This guy, Biagini, is 6'5", 240. What a difference.
A Rule 5 pick from the Giants to the Blue Jays. 2 more hits for Paulo Orlando and a run scored today. Still no balls, 2 strikes.
Just threw his curveball to him. He's low to mid-90s with his fastball and changeup as well.
Holds foul. Still no balls, 2 strikes. Royals got 2 in the 2nd inning. Paulo was part of that. He scored one of the runs. Butera and Mondesi with RBIs. Alcides Escobar hit a home run in the 5th inning with nobody on. And then Kendrys Morales hit a grand slam with 2 outs in the 7th inning. That pitch was supposed to be up and out of the strike zone, but Biagini still gets the strikeout. 1 away. Drew Butera has chipped in with an RBI single back in the 2-run 2nd inning. And he's done a good job behind the plate. He's been matched up with Yordano Ventura quite a bit this year. There's a liner to center field, but it stays up, and Upton makes the play. Ned Yost says there's no intent to match up Butera and Yordano Ventura, but on a day like today, that's just the way the schedule is, where you got a day game after a night game, day off tomorrow. Ned, great opportunity to give Salvador Perez 2 days off, and it just happened to be the day that Yordano Ventura is on the mound. Plus Salvi, he's got his hands full today.
Yeah, he does. Yeah. He's babysitting. And he knows that the Royals are 3 outs away from him loading up that cooler for a Salvi splash for somebody. I would bet it might be Morales.
Saunders is over from right, and that'll take care of the Royals in the bottom of the 8th. 3 outs to go, and the Royals win their first series since the end of June. For the Royals, tomorrow is an off day, and then the Chicago White Sox are here Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Edinson Volquez and Chris Sale Tuesday. Ian Kennedy and Jose Quintana on Wednesday. Danny Duffy and Miguel Gonzalez on Thursday. So the Royals will, with the off day, they'll skip that 5th spot in the rotation. Chris Young, good pitch to Troy Tulowitzki to begin the 9th inning. Tulowitzki is walked, singled, and lined to left. Chris Young took care of the Blue Jays 1-2-3 in the 8th inning. And now it's 0-2 on Tulowitzki. Yordano Ventura is 3 outs away from his first win since June 17th. He had gone 7 starts without a win. Doesn't mean he hasn't been pitching well. His last 5 have been pretty good with very little run support. Plenty of run support today. And then he gave up just 1 run in 6 2/3. 1 down in the 9th inning. Coming up after the game, Boulevard Royals Live. Hear from Royals manager Ned Yost. Reaction from the Royals clubhouse. Alcides Escobar hit his first home run in 145 at bats. Kendrys Morales has a grand slam.
And hopefully a confidence builder for Chris Young. Getting some pop-ups, you know, get him back on that beam again. It can be a very helpful arm out of that bullpen here as they move on down with 51 left after today. Because they can use him, and let's not forget about how valuable he was last season, Chris Young, out of that bullpen and as a starter. He did everything that Ned asked him to and helped his team become world champions. So he's not having the kind of year that he wanted. Still doesn't mean he can't be effective. Look at that. High fastballs, the invisible, the slider working nicely. And it's good to hear him get some cheers. He's worked hard. I believe he's still got enough left in the tank, really. He's got these folks standing up here. They're excited for their team. This team's too good to go that long without winning a series.
Josh Thole takes ball 1. He is 0 for 3 today. Victimized twice by good Royals defense. Orlando in center and Escobar at short. And now he gets a base hit to right field with 2 down. Darwin Barney has scored the only Blue Jays run. He walked with 2 outs in the 7th inning and scored on a wild pitch. Right to Cuthbert, and that ends the series. The Royals have a winning series for the first time since the last 2 days of June when they swept the Cardinals in a 2-game series. Royals are now 2-1 on this homestand. Finished the season series with the Blue Jays. Blue Jays were 4-2 against the Royals this year. And Toronto is on its way to being 1 game back in the East as Baltimore is all over Chicago 10-2 in the top of the 9th inning. So the streak ended last night with the Royals getting 4 runs, and now they bust out for 7 today, and that man right there provided 4 with 1 swing with his 7th inning grand slam.
Sure enough, but the frenzy hitting was working. Before that, they were getting them on and getting them over and getting them in. Look at that. We saw the bunting technique of Mondesi. We saw Hosmer sneak one through. Cuthbert. How about this one, though? This was the exclamation point, Ryan. You were talking about it. That was huge. Let the Royals have an easy breathing that last 2 innings. Let them take a chill pill, go into the off day, thinking about how good that felt, and keep that good mojo going and bring it back against the Sox.
Swanee and Raleigh have kissed and made up, by the way. They're pals now. Let's go down to the field. Here's Joel.
All right, we've got the two young guys, Cheslor Cuthbert and Raul Mondesi and Salvador Perez. That was quick. And that was the orange stuff. We've got to move quickly on that one. All right, Cheslor's negotiating with Salvi no more. Salvi is leaving. So now we can talk to the two young guys. Cheslor, let me start with you. You've been here longer, but what kind of energy and spark does Raul Mondesi provide this team?
Well, he brings a lot of energy to the team. That's the way he play hard every day, and he only run the bases. Everyone like motivate more players to do stuff like what he do.
And Raul, once again, the bunting. That first day, or that first big bunt that you had, you said this happens a lot. They throw the ball away, things happen. So tell us about, once again, making something big happen with the bunt.
You know, that's part of my game, you know. So I came here every day, play hard, help the team win. So that's part of my game. If I got it, you know, I got to make it.
And for both of you, I don't know who smiles more. Cheslor never stops. Raul never stops. 23 and 21. How much joy do both of you have playing this game?
Well, I have a lot of fun playing in front of all these fans. They like motivate me to play more harder. I get better every day.
And Raul, you haven't been here very long, but you haven't stopped smiling. How much fun are you having?
You know, I'm happy. I'm happy to be here, you know, every day working hard and just came here to win.
Last thing real quick, how important, Cheslor, just to be able to get that series win? It's been a while, and against a great team, too.
Yeah, I think we're going to start like playing better baseball. It's a great win for us, and we'll keep on rolling.
Cheslor Cuthbert, Raul Mondesi, guys, great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There they are, a combined 44 years old. That's younger than Ryan. Anyway, the praying mantis is down here still hanging out. Jonathan Pope's doing the camera work, and wasn't the mantis guys, but he got stung by a wasp, Pope. But hey, it's tough down here.
Salvi came out early today to get the two young guys. And that after taking the day off. The Royals win 7-1. We'll be right back.